Good evening and welcome along to the latest edition of the Endless Celts Podcast. Tonight where I'm joined by my colleagues here, Anthony and James. How you doing, Anthony?
Aye, all good, mate. Well as can be expected when your team takes a sore one in the Champions League and you're working on Saturday morning. But show must go on, as they say, mate. So been a wee while since I've been on a Friday night, so looking forward to this.
I was going to say it's a wee while. I was on last Friday, so James, how are you? I'll stop talking fish already.
Aye, all good, mate. I've been a bit doom and gloom during the week, but we've crawled out from behind the couch, so hopefully we'll get a wee laugh tonight.
Fingers crossed. We'll obviously have to talk about Dortmund, but just remember, James, you've got FIFA 98 to play. That's all you need to remember. Just keep your spirits up with that to play.
A wee short Hawthorne episode tonight.
I mean, even as a massive Oasis fan, there was no better feeling than when Song 2 used to hit when you turned it on. Getting ready for it. Nothing gets you more in the mood for a big game of FIFA than Song 2. Unbelievable game. My first one I got with my PlayStation, but many moons ago. Unbelievable game.
Classic. And just welcome all everybody in the comments and stuff. Just fire away with your views at Dortmund if you want, if any anger that you might need to get off your shoulders and things like that. But because we are going to have to talk about it because we weren't there on Wednesday, where, as Stephen's kind of been saying, people have got things on, nothing really to worry about, but people are just busy and having to deal with other things. So we're running a wee bit of a tight ship now with a limited schedule at times. It was almost one to put in one on the night, Anthony, but here we are. We've rustled up a team. And we'll dive straight into it. Dortmund. We probably didn't want to talk about it, especially if people might just be getting over it with the weekend coming up. But dearie me, tell us about how you were experienced the game.
Yeah, dearie me, indeed, mate. We were. I seen the full game, but we were down at Jude's starting high school next year, and we were down at the school on one of the sort of open nights, and one of the teachers there was a teacher even when back in the day when Lisa was there as well, and he's sort of saying, I hope this doesn't take too long, and I want to get up and see a certain game of football and whatever. But I think after that he'd have probably wished that the night had just went on a lot longer than it did. But I mean, I was talking to guys in the work before the game, during the day, and a few of them, big Rangers boys as well, and they were sort of saying how you feeling about it. And listen, I think the optimism wasn't misplaced. I think we had every right to go in there with a wee bit of hope and, dare I say it, expectation. The way that the season ended last year and how it started this year. I didn't see any issue. I didn't take any issue with Brendan's pre-match comments. I think we'd earned the right to play the way that or at least have the tactics that we wanted to have. But it was just, and of course, missing your main centre half's always going to be an issue. But by the same token, when you in the cold light of day, you wondered just how much difference it actually would have made. But it's never nice seeing your team. We're so used to handing out the footballing lessons, so having to take one can be a bit tough to take. But full credit to Dortmund; they were by far and away the better side and capitalised on the pretty much every error we made. As Brendan says, every poor pass, every slack ball ended up resulting in another Dortmund strike. And it's never good when there's still a fair chunk of the game to go and you're almost hoping that the final whistle goes at 7, because I genuinely was fearing double figures at one point if it kept up. But listen, it is what it is. It's never nice, but I suppose it's all about how you respond to that.
No, I think that's fair, and it is probably about how you respond to it, James. It was maybe a bit of a humbling night for us fans. I think a lot of us went in with, like Anthony said, I don't know, but maybe expectation, but it's obviously built off the form we started pre-season, how we taken care of Bratislava and things like that. And I mean, expectation is the sense that you're a fan, you're allowed to dream and things like that, and why not? It's sort of your gift. Without sort of disrespect, we knew Dortmund were a top side. I mean, they're in the Champions League final only last season, so we knew what type of side they are, that I think their home record's absolutely ridiculous, especially in Europe as well. I think it's about 15 games since they've lost and things. But where were you going into the game, and then obviously just, dare I ask, talk us through the game? Your emotions for it anyway.
Well, I think cautious optimism was the kind of buzzword on Wednesday, wasn't it? That's what everybody was saying. I was the same. I don't know if I was as confident as guys like Stan Petrov that was on TNT saying that we were going to go and win 4-1. I don't know if I was quite at their levels, but I thought we could have maybe sneaked a point for it, just purely based on, as you say, how well we've done this season. Obviously the Bratislava game as well, but then the flip side of that is you've always just get that wee, it's like the angel and the devil on your shoulder in it, and then you've just get the fact that it's away from home in the Champions League and it's Celtic, so it doesn't matter in what team it is, it's going to be a graft anyway. But I think by and large, I think everybody's optimism was deed and buried for about 8:05 on Wednesday night. And as Tony said there genuinely was times, and to be honest, it probably could and should have been double figures. I mean, they've scored 7, and we've still had Kasper Schmeichel making 4, 5, 6 really good saves. I know there's people maybe say he could have done a bit better with a couple of the goals. I don't know if I'd subscribe to that, to be honest, but it was a bit of a reality check, and I'm sure we're going to discuss it, but I think it would certainly, the level of the beating could have been rather easily avoided had we took some kind of precautions, dare I say. We certainly, it wasn't really how the game played out how I expected, but I know we'll probably come on to talk about Rodgers' setup in Europe. But I get into the game cautiously optimistic, and then 5 minutes in, even at 2-1 before the third had went in, you're fearing the worst, thinking this could be a long night. And then when they get the third so soon after the second, you're like, right, it's definitely going to be a long night. We're already at damage limitation stages, but frustrating, but you just need to hope that, I was going to say we'll learn from it, but we should be fucking scholars at this point, the amount of learning we've done over the last few years in Europe. But hopefully this time it is, as I say, a wee reality check and we can kick on for it. But then you keep the positive, you don't, as Callum McGregor said after the game, but exactly where we would have expected to be after 2 games anyway. So I suppose you can take somewhat a positive out the negative.
So I'll kind of come to yourself with that, Anthony. I think, obviously, if you take it out, 2 games in the Champions League, 1 at home to Bratislava, 1 away for Dortmund, 3 points is probably realistic we'd have expected. But it's like we've said and stuff, it was the manner. You and James have both said that. I think the majority of the fan base probably at one point were fearing the worst. And it did. I mean, the first 10 minutes just epitomised Celtic in Europe, I think, for many years. Just showed the bad luck that we sort of carry, or I say bad luck at stroke, bad defending sometimes that we carry, causing our own sort of our own problems that maybe sometimes you'll get away with, or the majority of times you might get away with in our own domestic league, but at this level you just don't. And obviously Dortmund, I think it was right in what Rodgers said, Dortmund were bang on it on Tuesday night and we were miles off. Obviously the first goal, the boy tries to play the pass in, Callum McGregor's just tracking back and it ricochets off him and goes through, and it's a race between Kasper Schmeichel and the striker. I think it's, I can't even, I'm not even got to turn into Stephen and try and say the boy's name.
Johnny, was it?
He's at Portsmouth. He's long gone to see Johnny. Gerassi or something like that.
Gerassi, aye, that was the one.
It's just a race round. I think you're looking at going, there's only one winner here, and just more out in on Celtic in Europe. And then, in fairness, the heads sometimes in the past totally drop, but we got ourselves straight back in it within, well, sort of in the next sort of 7-8 minutes we were level, but then 2 minutes later, I think was that you got a deflect. Was the second the deflected goal? Was that the third goal?
Yeah, it was a deflected goal.
And then you just get one where I think the Dortmund players knew that Trusty was obviously more stronger on his left and just always played onto his right, and he just wasn't natural trying to block it. And it just, they never, once they got their noses in front, they just never looked back, did they?
No, they didn't. And like you say, I mean, I know obviously we'll discuss the sort of our own setup in the next wee bit, Franny, but you're absolutely right. Like I said, when I was talking to the boys from my work, I says, I just hope that it doesn't go the way that we normally have seen it, and 2 goals down in first 10 minutes, that sort of thing, and then lo and behold, that's exactly what did happen. I think we're getting ourselves back into the game and getting the equaliser. That was the most frustrating thing, with the fact that just try and keep it calm for the next wee while. Don't give the ball away too cheaply. And then, like you say, the first one, it's a strange sort of ricochet that, like you say, sets a race off, and there's only going to be one winner in that. And then the second one's a deflection that takes Casper, leaves him wrong-footed. And I think that was one of the frustrations. As much as Dortmund were by far and away the better side, but I would still say all the goals in the first half, and then, as I say, the second half's just a damage limitation. But the first half in itself, the 4 goals we lost were all given away really, really cheaply. Like you say, obviously the first and the second goal, as we discussed there, but even the third, which I believe that was the penalty kick, wasn't it? I mean, it's soft, but it's going to get given at this level. I mean, we got one very similar.
For me, it's it's very similar as Bratislava for me, mate.
So that it is what it is. And then obviously the fourth goal, it's Dyson. He tries to take a touch, the ball goes away from him, and it's in. But that's what I always say, when you look at the way that these boys set up, they always just seem to be half a yard or a touch ahead of us. And the minute we were making a mistake, it wasn't like they were then taking a touch to then get control and then see what was happening. It was to get the ball back and shoot. And then, most of the time, it was either ending up in the net or Kasper Schmeichel was having to try his best to keep us in it. And I think that was the frustration, with the fact that although Dortmund played great, and they absolutely did, so many of the things that went wrong were unforced errors, if you're, to use a tennis phrase. But yeah, it's as I say, one of the nights where anything that could have went wrong kind of did. Probably and I was going to even say there, one of the only plus points is we didn't come away with any sort of injuries. But I've heard Brendan had said that Greg Taylor is now out for the weekend, and obviously Carter Vickers not fit either. So even a wee injury to add to the injury list, that just like I say, just one of those nights you'd rather forget.
Listen, before I kind of go on, Stephen will probably moan at me if I didn't. I'm actually trying to find a link for it, because I think it turns out I've probably shared the wrong thing online. But Red Scotland saying, good to see a genuine pod getting in on the awards for a change. Best luck. Cheers, Red. Thanks to anybody who voted to get us in the running for it. We knew nothing about it until, I think, one of the podcasts where Stephen came on. It's the Footballers Content Award or something, but for some reason the link, I went onto our sort of a Twitter page, but for some reason the link opens up some random page. But I'll get Stephen to look into that and see how we deal with it. It's like Football Content Awards. I think if you get them on Twitter, because I see Stud Lanigan said they voted for us. Cheers,
mate.
And then it's a Support Chop Express. I believe the voting's still open, mate. We're in for international podcasts, so if you can vote for us, great. If you didn't, we'll probably not win anyway, so it'll not really matter. But it's just, I think
there's more chance of Celtic winning the Champions League than there is of us winning, to be fair. But
there's more chance of Celtic winning the Champions League than us being at the award, unless the challenge is there for John to get down and up for 200 quid. And that includes his ticket, which I think are 120 quid or something.
It would be impressive, but I would say an overnight in London, that's optimistic at best.
I know. It's nuts. I mean, I think what's the ticket, 118 quid or something? So he's got a budget of 60. 72 quid or
£100,
something.
yeah. It's £200 just to go to it if you fancied going along, but because we're nominated, I think we get a discount. But I don't think there's many tickets left, to be fair. They're probably already sold out.
Well.
Might watch it on YouTube. I don't know if they do a YouTube watch along. That'd be a good laugh.
We'll catch someone. We'll do a live reaction pod when we didn't win. But no, cheers for everyone that voted for us. I suppose it is a nice wee bit of recognition, I guess. But I'll just kind of come back to yourself, James, just talking about before we kind of move on to the tactic side of things, and that I didn't really want to drag the game out too much, I guess. But I think obviously we've waxed lyrical. I mean, we as a fan base about our pace up front and guys like Kuhn, Maeda, and obviously Kyogo and stuff. But I think guys like Julian Brand and the boy Adewemi, I think that's how you say his name, the boy that scored the hat-trick. Not to say that our guys haven't got quality, but I think these boys are just showed you how you actually play with proper pace and proper quality.
Aye, definitely. Like you say, they are good players. We knew they were good players prior to kick-off, but I know we were trying kind of not to get into the tactics side of it, but in my opinion, I still maintain that we had the players there to at least cause them problems. But I think the way that we set up, honestly, I don't think Dortmund could have set up our team to make it more suited to play through for them, if that makes sense. It's just, as I say, legitimately, when even at the second goal, they get the penalty, our back four's in the halfway line, and it's just running through. The front three are rapid. You knew that before kick-off, so why we're trying to defend the halfway line at that point, I don't understand. Then, to be honest, the goals all kind of merge into one for me, but I think it was it the second was pretty similar. It was the same idea, and it felt as if just watching it that we kept conceding the same chance over and over and over again, and we didn't do anything to try and remedy it. I don't know if it's maybe a case that maybe a wee bit harsh, but I don't know if it's just a case that the manager has maybe bought into our hype, even considering back to pre-season when we've come up against like Man City and Chelsea and stuff like that. Obviously carried that brilliant form into the season, carried it into the Champions League, the Bratislava game, but obviously you're getting up about 10 levels to anything else we've played this season, and I just felt we set up on Wednesday night the exact same way we set up on Perth at the weekend, and it's suicide, and so it proved. Look, we get the goal to equalise, and even at that point, I'm sitting thinking, right, still let's try and be tight. I mean, you get away from him in Europe, you try and keep it tight for the first 20 minutes. I mean, we were even in the group chat having a laugh and a joke before kick-off, saying, is it going to be a red card? Is it going to be a penalty? How many penalties? You know what I mean? It's just what we expect, and it's so frustrating. Look, we had injuries. Carter Vickers was missing. He's a big loss for us, whether or not it makes any difference, to be honest. But it just felt entirely preventable for it easily, very, very easily could have been 10. And that's no being dramatic. It's no being pessimistic. It's just the truth. And it was very, very frustrating. And I'm not wanting to go. I know we're going to go to talk about Rodgers in Europe and things like that. So I'm not wanting to kick a can too far down the road. But it was just frustrating.
No, and I'll kind of come back to. I've kept this comment up for Strange Love the Doctor. He's obviously agreeing with a lot. James saying how we played shit collectively and individual on the night before we knew we were down to 5-1, which is bang on. I thought everybody was. There's not many pass marks. I thought my head maybe for the first half hour was decent. I mean, he just came systematic to the way we played, and also I think Scales was okay enough. Casper Schmeichel for me, James, couldn't do anything with any of the goals in my opinion. Anyway, I've obviously not tortured myself and watched the game back to see if there's maybe it could, but obviously in their group chat, Greg Taylor taking a bit of a bashing as he tends to do a wee bit, in fairness for John. It's the only time you hear him is when he's bashing Greg Taylor. But I'm not really what he concentrating on, because I think at times he's an easy out. Like, I've never, not necessarily always been Greg Taylor's biggest fan, but I find myself defending him now because I just feel he's an easy target. And for me, I just thought the midfield was absolutely non-existent in Wednesday. Obviously, I had no, like we've touched on, CCV was out, but of who was available, I had no issue with that team starting. It's probably a team I would have went for it anyway. Having Bernardo to try and retain a bit of possession when we had it, but I thought he never really done much. Callum McGregor, the captain, again, he never done much. There was times when he was getting balls passed to him that maybe necessarily weren't into his feet, but it was just, if they were a yard or two away, it was almost like he was getting caught flat-footed and on his heels and stuff. And Engels, I'm not got to go too-footed on Engels. He's only just in the door and played a few games. But if you want £11 million, these are the type of games. Now, I'm not saying I expect him to turn up and we just automatically win, but you expect maybe more for guys like him. Sorry, that was to you, James. I feel
sorry, mate. Mate, honestly, I think you could go through. I don't want to say anything too bad about Greg Taylor in case Willie busts through that door and kicks my head in. I think you can go through the team 1 to 11, and I think the only one that comes away with even the slightest credit is probably Liam Scales, and that's a centre half that's conceded 7 goals. But it did feel at times like he was playing 3 positions on occasions, getting wee blocks and flicks and things in. But look, you can write it off as being a bad night, just coming up against a better team. But honestly, I think there's just more to it. And his interview after the game, I don't know if he maybe mentioned at his press conference today when he got asked about, because I think that is that the 3rd time that he's conceded 7 in Europe with Celtic. Barcelona,
definitely 2.
Barcelona, PSG.
Barca, it was PSG. I was thinking, mate.
Barca, PSG, and then Dortmund. So it's the 3rd time he's conceded 7. And when he got asked about it after the game, I don't even know why I put myself through it. I kept it on after the game to see the interviews. And he said that, the reporter asked him, basically, would you change? I can't mind the exact wording of the question, but why do we keep getting these results? And he lined off the Atletico game last year, Barca, PSG, and all the rest of them. And his reply was, it's because we're playing the teams, it's because we're playing Barcelona, it's because we're playing Atletico, it's because we're playing Dortmund. And see, I get it's easy enough saying that after the event, but what's the point in turning up then? If that's the attitude, you're beat before a game kicks off. And I know, obviously, he's trying to save face and it's after the game, but it was just the complete lack of looking to take any responsibility. And then he was saying he was going to learn for it. And I'm like, well, you've just heard that this is the 3rd time you've conceded 7. There was a 6 in there last year as well. So when is this learning going to start? And look, Dortmund got to the final last year. They gave Real Madrid a run for their money in the final in that first half. Probably were the better team. But that it's not the same team as last year. They've lost a lot of players. They've lost their manager. And I am by no stretch saying that Borussia Dortmund are a bad team. But I would be very, very surprised if they get near the final this year with the changes that they've made. And I'm not saying that Celtic have got a divine right to go out there and get a point, get a win or whatever. But just to go out there and it was almost like disrespect, the contempt that we treated them with this back 4 in the halfway line. And I just couldn't get away with how we set up. And then the kind of bullishness after the event, we're learning. And as I say, it was just very, very frustrating. And I've talked myself around in circles that I can't even remember what the question was. You'll talk about individuals.
I was talking about. I spoke about the midfielder, and I was going to say you're not desperate to go into Rodgers' tactics. You've just got fuck. I'm talking about them.
No, in terms of individuals, Scales. I don't even know if I'd say pass marks, but Scales.
No, I don't think anybody get pass marks in the night.
Scales is the only one that comes away with any credit. I know Greg Taylor was getting hammered, as I said, after the game as well, and it wasn't even based on his performance. It wasn't even based on himself being there, but it's Callum McGregor for me, and it's the one that kind of keeps getting highlighted every time we play in Europe, and it's something that I've said it for years. We get away with him playing the deepest of the three domestically because we've got all the ball and he's brilliant on the ball. He's having a great season. That doesn't detract for it. But when we step up these levels in Europe, we need to get somebody physical in there. And then even if it meant taking Bernardo or Hatate or whoever it would be that was playing, taking them out, sliding McGregor on one and putting your big monster in there. And for me, that's just something that we've missed for ages, and I just feel it's vital for European football. I mean, watching the game, look, the midfield three were terrible. Not one of them were better than the rest, and they were just so far apart. But it was so apparent that McGregor was obviously your sitter, and you had the other two basically at the byline pretty much for most of the game, and miles apart. We couldn't string two passes together. And to be honest, Callum McGregor looked like a wee boy in there, and they just looked off physical. They looked big, massive athletes, and for me, that was where I'm not saying that was where the issue lay. I'm not going to pin it all on Callum McGregor, but it's just something that keeps getting highlighted in Europe. I mean, we talk about the 2-7s or 3-7s, 6 and all that. Callum McGregor's played the same role in all the games, and I'm not saying it's McGregor's fault, not at all, but I think it is a huge part of the problem. And as I say, I'm not saying drop him. I'd definitely change his role though, even if it means getting into maybe the Atlanta game. You'd like to think that we're going to change how we play, so maybe even play with two sitters and put Engels in beside him to help him out, because having Engels and Bernardo just kind of doing their own thing, running forward like headless chickens, to be honest, at times it didn't help anybody.
It's Atlanta next, isn't it?
Atlanta away. But for me, Anthony, I just before we kind of move on to Rodgers' sort of form in Europe at Celtic, midfield three for me, it's still cliche midfield wins you games. I just thought the midfield three for us was, like we say, collectively we were poor. There was no nobody with pass much, but let's say Engels, your record signing, just he didn't. It looked like the game spooked him a wee bit, and it just. But I suppose that could have just been. I'm not want to be too harsh on him, because obviously it could have just been the way the game panned out. It's almost dead and buried before the game got started, I feel like. So, but the midfield three just did not impress me on Tuesday night.
No, they didn't, mate. And I think even it wouldn't have mattered whether it be Hatate or Bernardo, because obviously that was the kind of discussion before the game. But yeah, you're bang on. It was one of the days where the Dortmund midfield were just far too strong for us, and but the all our midfielders have had great starts to the season, but it was just nothing seemed to go right at all. And like you say, Callum McGregor's so often the one that's, his passing's always the most crisp. It's his moves are obviously where a lot of our attacks start from, but he was sort of, not that he was out his depth, as in the fact that he's no good enough for this level. That's not what I mean. But just on the night, he looked at just with the way that the Dortmund midfield pressed him. He was forever under pressure, and a lot of his passing did go astray a few times, and that's what ended up causing a lot of the time caused us put us in the issue that we were in. But yeah, not good.
No, it wasn't. I'll kind of come straight back to you, Anthony, and we'll kind of talk about Rodgers in Europe at Celtic, and I suppose it kind of comes with a caveat. It's at the big table generally with Rodgers. I don't think he's actually. I don't think he's had us in the UEFA Cup, has he?
Third season.
Because that was when we played.
We qualified.
Charlie Rosondo, the superstar.
Yeah,
that's him. Against Senna. I think Kovacic was fucking dynamite the home game as well.
Fantastic.
So like Rodgers' record with Celtic in Europe hasn't been great, and I suppose on one hand he kind of got to commend him for sticking to his guns. I suppose, saying I understand the logic he's saying. I mean, Ange was big on it, and we all ate it up as well before the Real Madrid game. How he says, "I'm not going to change anything. How can I tell these guys every day to play a certain way to win a game of football because it's Real Madrid?" will no win it, be playing that way. Totally understand that. But was it maybe a bit naive just to go in so gung-ho? It just felt like we were all over the place. And like James touched on earlier, Rodgers has been on the end of some big defeats for us. I mean, there's 3 times he's conceded 7 goals. I think he's had a couple of 5s as well. Had a 5-0 at with PSG at Parkhead. But to obviously kind of balance that, we had the 3-3. I know it's not a win, but the 2 3-3 draws against Man City were very entertaining games. We're playing attacking football. But just to see where you're with Rodgers in Europe.
I mean, like you said, don't get me wrong. As we were saying that the other day, I think James put up the graphic of, well, it wasn't just under Rodgers, it was Celtic's entire away form in the Champions League era. And like I said, it doesn't make for good reading. But you got to remember, and as much a defence as I can put together, on the times where Brendan's been in the manager at Celtic, we've either been a pot 4 side, which I think we were certainly in his first term, and we're essentially one of the pot 3 teams for this one. So, first season, like you say, a Pep-led Man City, it's a £1 billion juggernaut, and that was the year we still had Messi and Suarez and Iniesta and all that side were all still together at Barcelona. And that was literally his first foray into the Champions League with Celtic. Again, it was sore to take at Celtic Park and away from home on the night, but that was probably peak PSG. I know Messi joined later on, but he wasn't the Messi that he was at Barcelona, and that was the PSG side of a young Mbappe, Cavani, and trying to remember who. I think maybe was Zlatan maybe still there at that point. I might be wrong, but
I'm not sure if he was still there, but Neymar was there.
Neymar, Cavani played as well. He scored an absolute topper.
That's it. So, and a lot of Celtic fans might not like this comparison, but whether we like it or not, because of the way modern football is, because these top sides, and I accept that Dortmund maybe aren't quite at the level of the teams I've just mentioned there, but we just gave out a footballing lesson to St Johnstone on Saturday night. We are St Johnstone to these guys, and if you played the game where we beat Barcelona under Lenny, if you play that game 100 times with the stats of that match, 99 times out of 100 Barcelona win that match. We are the landscape of football's changed so dramatically that these results are going to, unfortunately, and I don't just mean for Celtic. I mean, you look at the results over the score. I think Manchester City won 4 or 5-0 at home, away from home. Sorry, Tuesday night. I'm sure there was another match that finished 4 or 5. But with one of a pot 1 side versus a pot 3 or a 4 side, we don't like it because we have a bit of a famous name, and a name that does still garner a lot of respect around the continent. But the sad reality is, it doesn't. There are times when it doesn't matter what kind of tactics you play. These guys can do that, and that's where I'm not even going against the argument, because I understand the logic, and I think probably the truth's probably or the best bit is somewhere in between, because I get the argument of, especially what James is saying about the midfield just running past us and or having our back 4 sets so high on Tuesday night. It was, as it proved, a recipe for disaster. But by the same token, and I'm not saying it's James saying that, but I'm talking more the Clyde 1 level intellect phoning in. It seems to be that the first sort of thing is, we should just have shut up shop and just hope for the best. And I'm like, well, Steve Clark did that in the Euros against Germany, and how did that turn out? And it's even got even worse since then. I mean, it was great seeing them take the lead against Portugal, but the following 85 minutes could and should have got football stopped. And you go back to your time under Ange, Franny, it was a good example as well. Obviously, we ended up losing against Madrid on the night, but he was determined that he was going to stick to his principles. Although we didn't, the points total wasn't great in that campaign. When you actually watch it back, we should have won in Shakhtar. It was we missed a couple of really good chances to win that match. Probably should have won against Shakhtar at home as well. And if you take that, then it becomes a whole different complexion. I know if your aunt was your uncle and all that, but you know the point I'm trying to make. The worst we looked in that Champions League campaign was when we did sit in and we were inhibited and we tried to play within ourselves. I actually think we threw the game away against them. I'm trying to remember what the three teams were. I think was it maybe Leipzig when Jota scored the equaliser, and then we did sort of I mean you're right, James. Joe Hart, didn't do us any favours that night, but then we sat in and we were in kind of playing short passes and went ultra defensive and we looked completely out of shape. There's an argument to be made, well, try and go somewhere in the middle then, and I think that's probably where tactically did get it wrong. Like I said, there's probably that element where you wanted to be, and I think if it went 4 or 5 and we had played defensively, the narrative would have been, well, we've been playing great all season, we're fully confident, this was as good a chance as we ever had to play the way that we traditionally play in Europe. I think, and I know Brendan's came across, I've not seen the full press conference, but I've seen little snippets of it, and it sounds, as James says, that he's came out quite bullish post-match and in the conference today. It wouldn't shock me if there is, even if it's subtle, we'll still try and do what we do best against Atalanta, but I think it will be a little more contained, if that's the right word. And as I say, I never want to see the day where Celtic shut up shop, 10 men behind the ball and just pray for the best, because that's just no Celtic. By the same token, I don't want to see them losing 7 goals all the time either. But yeah, there is a way where both of those arguments can meet somewhere in the middle, and I think that going forward, especially against the pot 1 sides, that's maybe the way we're going to have to go. Whether that ends in a different result, I'm pretty sceptical, and it's not because necessarily we're not good enough or anything like that. It's just a simple fact of life. Football has changed, unfortunately, I think irreversibly, and I think because of the way that these top clubs hold the resources and the financial power that they have, these results are going to become more and more common. And like I said, you look at the way it is domestically, Celtic are regularly scoring 4 and 5 against sides that maybe in their own heads, a Hearts or a Hibs or whatever might totally fancy, but beating Celtic and the odd, sometimes it will happen, but more often than not, Celtic will turn them over, and that's just the reality because of the financial difference between us and the rest of Scotland. But there's always a bigger fish, and there's a lot of big fish in Europe, unfortunately.
I think you make a lot of good points, Anthony, and the landscape of football has changed massively. I mean, I know we could go back to your Gordon Strachan, even Neil Lennon. They obviously played attacking type of football domestically, but I think they changed it up in Europe and they got results. So, but I do agree there probably is something in the middle. It's not gone total flip 180 to go totally different for what you normally do. I'll bring this comment I love again for his strange of the doctor. He's talking about kind of repetition, if you like, and he says, play like Kelly, you will be Kelly. Play like Barca, you'll be Barca. I get what he's saying, but obviously you need the players to do that, James, and not to get into the personnel and style argument. That's for somebody else to debate in this podcast with you. But it feels a wee bit like that way, Rodgers in Europe. But does he need to sacrifice a wee bit of that and change his style?
Aye, definitely. And I think it seems to be trendy in football now. See this, we'll no change our style for anybody. And I don't know if it's Postecoglou that brought it up here. And it really bothers me. See when Celtic supporters look back on that Real Madrid game, it is some sort of like we can do this. And look, we've done it for an hour. And if a game of football lasted for an hour, then brilliant, sign me up for it. But the reality is we get our arse felt and we get bet 3-0 come full time. So it's all well and good playing. But I mean, we slagged, was it Steven Gerrard, the 70-minute league champions and all that stuff? It's the exact same thing that we're applying here. And look, I am not saying, and I've said it on here before as well. Look, when you think back to Rangers, maybe no so much new, to an extent still the new, but even in history, thinking back to like Walter Smith, like they would go away for him and kick off, and they had a point, they'll hold a point. If they get anything extra, then brilliant. And I hate to say it, but it was something that they were good at. And I've always been of the opinion I would love for us to be able to do that. I would love to just go away and be like, right, we're going to be absolutely solid and we're more or less guaranteed a point as a minimum. And they've done it time and time again. And it's something that we've never, ever been able to do. But the whole notion of, nah, we're going to play you the way we'll play St Johnstone, the way we'll play fucking Albion Rovers in the Cup, it just, it's no brave. It's stupid. It's idiotic. And it's been proven idiotic time and time again with these results we keep seeing. I mean, you look at the results for even this round of fixtures. Stuttgart bet Dortmund 5-1. Was it last week or the week before or recently anyway? Sparta Prague go to Stuttgart and beat them. Now, I don't think Sparta Prague would have went out and passed them off the park and played high attacking football and it'd been attack after attack. Lille, Real Madrid travel to Lille. Lille beat Real Madrid. Probably the same gap in budgets, albeit Lille probably spend more than ourselves. But again, Lille wouldn't have pressed high and passed them off the park. The Barcelona game that we've mentioned, a freak result with the stats, granted. We didn't press Barca high. We didn't defend the halfway line. We didn't. Do you know what I mean? It's stupid. It's all well and good saying it, and it sounds great in an interview. As we've seen it with Ange, and it sounds brilliant, and everybody buys into it. The reality is, it didn't work, and it was Ange's major downfall in Europe. It's Rodgers' major downfall in Europe, and on the Postecoglou thing as well. Postecoglou did change his style. I think back to a couple of games at Ibrox. Was it the Cameron Carter-Vickers game in particular? I think it was that game where the second half...
It felt like we sat in a wee bit.
Exactly. The second half, it essentially was 10 men behind the ball. So, it absolutely does change it. And then you hear it on, is it like open goal and all that? Oh no, we'll no change our style. But, and as soon as you're throwing a button there, you're changing your style. Or we'd maybe sit somebody back deeper, we'd put one in, play two up front, little and large, whatever it would be. You're changing your style. If you're not playing the same way every game, you're making a change, and you're making a change based on the opposition. If you're the big fish in the small pond, then you'll get away with it. As you rightly say, like we do it in Scotland, we don't really need to treat anybody with respect in football in terms up here. We don't need to worry about they do, so we do what we do. But going to these places, and to an extent, even in Europe, we will get away with it. But even, going away for him in Europe, you do need to change it. And that's comment there for Strange Love the Doctor. All I would say to that is, again, it sounds great, but see if somebody offered you a chance to go back and relive 90 minutes versus Real Madrid, which we all hail as 60 minutes, a free-flowing attacking football going toe-to-toe with the best in the world, or the chance to go back and relive the 2-1 Barcelona game, where we, as I say, we kind of flipped it. I'm taking the Barcelona game every day, and the reason we've done that is because we changed our style because of who we were playing. Granted, it was, as I say, a kind of fluke result with the way our manager, the way our manager played, the way our goalkeeper played. But going to these places in Europe, you have to change it. And as I say, the game on Wednesday, 5 minutes into it, you've got your back four spread across the halfway line. It's no brave. It's stupid. You then went on to get pumped 7-1. You can't come out after it and basically say you didn't have a chance to change it, or we couldn't have done anything different. It was, for me, I thought we would come out, no sit deep and kind of backs to the wall, because to be honest, I don't think we can do it. But I thought we would have definitely sat deeper, maybe soaked up a bit of pressure. And then we've got Maida, we've got Kyogo, and we've got Kuhn. You've got a midfield three that can all pick a pass, and I thought we'd have looked to catch him in the break. If I was setting up says me telling Brendan Rodgers what to do. But if I was setting up the team, that's what I would have done. To be honest, that's pretty much what I expected us today, and it's why I thought we would have opted for Kyogo over Ida. To set up the way that we did set up on Wednesday night with Kyogo, I mean, was it Gordon Stratton with the quote, "Get warmed up, son, you're coming off"? I mean, that was essentially Kyogo on Wednesday night. If we were going to go out and play that way, then we would have been well playing Adamida for at least to hold it in and get players up the park. So, going forward for me, absolutely has to change it. But whether he does or not remains to be seen. I'd like to think he would, but remains to be seen.
I think he'll need to, especially going to Atalanta, who again are no mugs. Have got a bit of pace and Lookman in that up front. Anthony, obviously Tommy Twist was saying there, do we maybe, I think it was James talked about it earlier, do we maybe go to 5 in the midfield with sort of a 2 sitters? Because Brendan Rodgers kind of first time around, that was sort of the system he played, was your 4-2-3-1, was maybe more of the 4-3-3. We can also change to the 4-3-3 when attacking. But do we maybe try and look to put 5 across the midfield and maybe Anida up front to try and hold it up?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly an option, and that's what I say. I think it might be a bit subtle. Well, 5 at the back, no exactly 5 in the midfield, no exactly a subtle change, but you know what I mean. I think the sort of the sort of idea will still be the same in terms of playing our own game, whether we like that or not. But I think, as I say, we will have to be a bit more defensively sound with it. It's not great when you see it. There's very little that you can hold your hat on when you've just lost 7-1. But the fact we're going straight back out for an away game, it maybe actually is better than having a home game straight after it, because then you're caught in that sort of flux of, right, well, we're at home, so we need to do our thing now.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it starts not working out the way we wanted to, like it did against Bratislava, if we maybe lost an early goal or whatever, you could imagine the crowd getting a bit anxious and starting to get on the back of the players, and it could all go wrong quite quickly. So it's probably not a bad thing that we're away from home again, and then we've got a couple of home games after that where hopefully we can get some more points on the board.
And it's a nice wee segue into the next bit. We'll kind of sort of wrap up the Champions League, Anthony, but I know it's only 2 games in. It's obviously 1-1, 1 defeat. Is maybe where is your head with Champions League? Obviously, I think we said earlier, there's 3 points after the 2 games is what we probably expected. We've obviously got Atalanta away from home next. Again, for all realistic, we've all been humbled on Tuesday. I think it's probably another game we're unlikely to get points from. Anything we get a bonus, but it's maybe just our Champions League, or what Tuesday showed us is our Champions League tournament, essentially our home games, not to sort of disrespect Leipzig. That's obviously got to be a hard game, but Club Brugge and Young Boys, and obviously, like I say, Leipzig, that's our tournament, and maybe Zagreb away from home.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about this, if there is such a thing as a good thing about this extended tournament, is you do have more games at home, and the way the draws fell, Franny, in theory, more of the winnable games are at home, and you like to think if we can repeat the type of performance we put on against Bratislava, then we will put more points on the board. I know, obviously, after the first game, everyone's like, "Oh, we're going to." We're going to sail through one of our home games, we'll pick up points on the board and we'll finish in the top 8. I always kind of think that's, it was fine to have that dream after one game, but it was I never at any point, despite the fact that a lot of the pot 1 and 2 sides they might take points off each other. I did always kind of just have my eye on the playoff section. And by the way, again, there might be some of the other fans that take a bit of offence at that, but if Celtic were to make the Champions League playoffs, then that is progress compared to some of the way we've went in previous years, and it would certainly be a memorable occasion. If we were to on the night trying to get into the latter stages. If this was a normal group stage, traditional group stage game, in Dortmund and Atlanta were your top 1 and 2 sides, then yeah, it would be the likes of a Zagreb and a Bratislava where you'd be looking to take your points from. As I say, it's not nice and it's no defeatist. It's more realist. I hate the fact that Celtic more or less don't have much of an opportunity against these teams now, but that is reality, and we will pick up the odd result against them. You just never know what's going to happen, especially in the next game. But I think realistically, our Champions League destiny this season wasn't going to be decided on an away tie in Dortmund, and probably not even an away tie against the Europa League holders. It comes against the teams where Celtic are at a similar level, both on the park and off the park, and maybe even slightly ahead of some of the other teams. We went to Celtic Park that night against Bratislava fully confident, but a little bit expectant as well of winning the match. And we went out and we put on a fantastic performance and got a brilliant result. It's going to be games like that, and like you say, we're totally aware Leipzig are a level above Bratislava, but definitely Zagreb, teams like that. They're the teams that are in and around. They've got similar level quality player. They play in a similar level of league, and have similar resources. So they're the nights where you're looking to pick up your points. I never like you anything above that's a bonus, but you know the point I'm trying to make. But certainly the way that the home games have fallen this year, we have to look to put our points on the board. But listen, I at the start of the tournament, I'd hoped for a playoff space, and I still think we're more than capable of achieving that. If we were to then get our act together the next few weeks, you just never know what might happen. But certainly the playoffs is within our grasp.
No, I think it is, Anthony. As I say, we're still well and close, and probably, if we're all realistic, teams after the first 3 games, we'd probably say 3 points is what we'd probably expect. Then you obviously got to that Leipzig game. I say not to disrespect them, but it's one you'd be looking at again. Not necessarily saying you've got to take 3 points, but try and take something from that game. Leipzig are obviously no mugs. Obviously, it could get difficult if you go 3 games and not pick up any points. But I think the way some of the results have been going, I think that they're talking anything between 8 and sort of 10 points should get you into that playoff. So for me, I think all Tuesday, as much as I had us winning the Champions League at 5-8 on Tuesday, I think it was a humbling for me, and just a more realisation that I backed down to earth with a crash, just saying, no, our tournaments against their Zagrebs and our home games, because like Anthony touched on, the way this tournament is set out now, Leipzig, the only way that this could have got better for us is us getting Croatia Zagreb at home as opposed to Leipzig. I think in reality it's turned out as best as we could.
Aye, look, definitely. I mean, for all I've moaned tonight, the reality is we've still had a great start to the season. We're where we would expect to be after 2 games. It's not the fact that we go bet on Tuesday night. It was just the manner of the defeat. And look, there's lessons to be learned for it. But as you say, absolutely not all is lost. I mean, even if you were talking about the goal difference, we've taken a 7-1 drubbing and we're only at a -2 goal difference. So look, it really isn't the end of the world. As you say, like, realistically, we're not going to take anything for Leipzig, Atlanta, probably Aston Villa as well. So our points are going to come elsewhere. You'd like to think we'd win the 2 games against Bruges and Young Boys. I still think we can take something away in Zagreb as well, and then probably, hopefully, take something off Leipzig. And as you say, that should be enough to get us through. So, aye. Not all is lost. It's a blip, but it's still been a fantastic start to the season, and you've just got to hope that we can bounce back and get back on track on Sunday.
No, I totally agree. And I think that we went on for nearly an hour talking about picking Tuesday night. we'll be needing a drink. Well, James is on the drink. Oh, aye, therapy. But I think we're needing what James has got for the therapy, Anthony, in all honesty. But just to kind of try and mix up, because it's a Friday, Stephen likes doing them, so we'll do a wee quiz. I was trying to write one up just before we came on, but everybody in the comments, didn't worry. It's, as we spoke earlier, it's not got to be like Stephen's ones where you've got to get the population of some random place in the world in 1922 or whatever. It's
to the nearest 5.
Aye, to the nearest 5 to give you a chance. Like obviously to give you a chance, but aye. So I'm just got to kind of read them off my phone. But it's just shout the answer out. We'll no date to Stephen like 1st to 20 or keep going. James Tully gives me a chance to try and win. At the end of the day, I'll try and be a wee bit fairer with you on the quizzes and stuff. We'll just kind of go to 5. We'll go to 5. So, which clubs won the most Champions League titles?
Real Madrid.
Wish I was looking at the screen before I asked that question, James. I didn't realise you were taking a drink at the time.
Sorry.
I was giving much a chance.
All right,
That's
Stephen.
one to James. Which outfield player has appeared in the Champions League final in 3 different decades?
Paolo Maldini?
No, but I understand the logic there.
Was Seedorf one?
No, but I know what one you're thinking, eh? He was the
Aye.
first one. It was 3 different teams.
3 different
Ryan-
teams, aye.
Ryan Giggs?
Well done, well done. I'm at the mercy of the internet, by the way. I'm at the mercy of
I
the
was
internet.
doubting the
As Ryan Giggs,
2010
aye.
ones.
That's a shot, aye. The 90s, the noughties in 2011, aye. Aye, superb.
Right, which player with 653 games has the most appearances in the APL?
Ryan Giggs?
No.
Gareth
I'm
Barry.
not that bad as Stephen. Aye, it's Gareth.
Aye,
I'm not as bad as Stephen. It's the same. Like folk.
I always
for the
get
same answer
Barry
in
and
that.
Milner mixed up.
No.
Aye. It's 7 seconds, 7.9 seconds. Who's the fastest goal in the APL?
Not a clue. Alan Shearer.
Nah.
I'll go, I don't know, Robbie Fowler.
Nah. I'll give you a clue. It was the 2 teams were Southampton and Watford. I don't know how much a clue that fucking is, I'll be honest with you.
Martin Chrissy.
No. But right team, Anthony.
Aye. Who was the guy that ended up, he played with Rangers for a wee while? Kind of chubby guy.
No him.
No him.
No.
Marion Pahars. That's the only other Southampton player I can remember.
Nah, it was Shane Long. Shane Long, apparently.
I could have sat here all night
Southampton.
and no said Shane Long.
Probably no. 3 players have recorded 8 red cards in the APL. Name the 3 of them. The tough school, I want all 3 for the point.
Dennis Wise.
But what days, Anthony? You go with the first 3. Give me
Right,
3
okay.
answers in there.
Right, I'll go Dennis Wise, Robbie Savage. I don't think Roy Keane's been sent off that many times.
That's the 2 I'm torn between or all.
Vieira. I think you got E right enough.
Right, you've got 1 out of the 3.
Right.
James, to you.
Richard, was it Richard Dunn? Was that the Irish guy at Man City?
Right.
I know he scored Hunter's OG, so I'm just letting my man
He
get
did
it.
actually.
Joey Barton.
Barton must have been one.
Just give me a 3.
Dunn, Barton, and I'll go Roy Keane.
You've got 1, Tay, and it's so weird. You've both got 1 each. So 2 different answers. So you've got Vieira and Dunn. Anthony, I'll give you a go to get the other one.
Yeah, one of the other ones. Trying because
I probably wouldn't have guessed this guy either. I'll be honest. And it's mad when if you get it or when I tell you.
I'm trying to think even like the kind of psycho he played. I mean, obviously Vinnie Jones was pre-Premier League, but I'm trying to think even like Vieira maybe was tough tackler. Keane, tough
He's
tackler.
one of the right ones. Vieira and Dunn are two of the right answers.
Right, yeah. Do you know, did Stevie G not get quite a few red cards? I'll go Stevie G. I don't think it is right, but I know he had a couple of really silly red cards in his day.
Aye, especially late on, aye.
Aye, but yeah,
I'm going to go for a Daftjin because you said it was a surprising one, purely because he was ranked rotten. Phil Jones.
No, it's surprising in the sense that it's more the surprise that I wouldn't have guessed it, but it was Duncan Ferguson, his other one.
Oh, aye.
I thought he.
That's
early 2000s, isn't it? I was going to say I thought he'd have been pre-Premier League.
So who's the three then? Duncan Ferguson, Patrick Vieira, and Richard Dunn.
Aye, the Richard Dunn one surprised me. It may surprise me at Duncan Ferguson. I was like, he didn't jump out at me, and it's kind of obvious. Guy was literally in jail. Who will host the 2026 World Cup?
USA, Mexico, Canada.
Well done, Anthony. 2 each. Who's got the most World Cup goals total?
Miroslav Klose.
I've done 3-2. Right, that's where I'm right. This is why we're only doing it to 5 because, as I say, I was writing these down before we came on. So that's as many as I've wrote down. Let me just see.
What is the population of?
Here, Jamesy.
I know, it is. In which year was the first European Championship held?
1960.
And this is obviously mean. Oh, well done. 4-2. 4-2. Come on, James. Don't make me out to be stupid. The record age for the youngest head coach in the Bundesliga is 28 years and 205 days. Who is it? It's the first one I came to, but
it's not the guy at Brighton, is it? It was at St. Pauli. I don't even know.
No,
or something.
It's not him.
No, Scooby, mate. Don't follow German football.
It's Julian Nagelsmann, funny enough. It's actually somebody we've heard. I'll be honest, I probably wouldn't have went him either. What is the nickname of Borussia Mönchengladbach? I don't know what. I feel like I'm turning into Stephen now.
Yeah, I was you're just saying what we're thinking here, mate. The Gladbachs.
The Gladiators.
It's the Fools. I don't know why. See, when I went to the answer,
that was my next guess, man.
I was like, what the fuck am I just asked that question for? Right. This is a who am I?
Mm-hmm.
I've played in Germany, Italy, Austria, and France. I've won Serie A and scored the first ever golden goal in international football. Who am I?
No.
Karol Poborski?
No. I think he did score one, but
golden goal started at Euro 96, didn't it? And I know I'm sure the Czechs, I think Germany won it with a golden goal, but obviously it happened before the final. Davor Suker?
No. You're in country, Anthony. You're in the wrong country.
Aye.
No got a clue.
To be honest, I was going to go Trezeguet, but I think he was actually in the Champions League or something. He done it.
He scored the winner in Euro 2000 for France against Italy.
Any guesses, James?
No idea, mate. No got a clue.
Olivier Bierhoff.
Apparently
so. Let me see. I quite like these. Who are my ones? I have played for Chelsea and spent time playing in Turkey. I've been crowned African Footballer of the Year 4 times and the African Cup of Nations twice. Who am I?
Michael Essien?
No. One each again.
What was it? He's played Chelsea, Turkey.
Oh,
It'd be African
Kante.
Footballer of the Year.
N'Golo
No,
Kante.
he's French, mate. He's French.
Sorry,
How can he be African Footballer of the Year?
John Obi Mikel.
I mean, he technically probably is.
Okay.
No, probably technically is African, but
No.
we'll not talk about that. No, it's Samuel Eto'o. No wonder Stephen gets frustrated.
Eto'o at Chelsea? I've got absolutely no memory.
Aye, it was
Sure, he
very
was number
brief,
5 as well when he was there. Something silly.
Mind he popped
Well,
up
he
at
didn't
Everton. I
come.
can't mind him at Chelsea.
Well, apparently I was right. Just turning into Stephen now. And what the fuck is that? In what league is the concept of a designated player a feature?
America.
I understand that quick. Is actually.
Aye,
I
had to be
why-
somewhere.
why
in
no, eh?
America, but
Why not? What a stupid fucking thing.
Was that not like the
Yeah, mate.
David Beckham rule or something? Mind it was a big thing at the time.
Oh, we could have one player that was sort of paid high as fuck and everybody else was on 2.5 quid or something. It's mental. In Spanish football, what is the pichichi?
a nutmeg.
No.
The fucking Bovril. I've not got a clue.
It's the top goal scorer.
Fair enough.
It's the top goal scorer. So still 4-2 to Anthony. Right, we'll go back to who am I? I
Thanks,
made my
4-3,
international.
mate. James got the
4-3.
MLS question.
Then we just done up.
Stephen, I'll not be
Stephen.
Stephen. I'll not be Stephen.
Asking terrible questions and not getting James points. I made my international debut for Brazil in 1993 and scored in the game. I played in 2 World Cup finals, and my club career saw me play in Brazil, Italy, Angola, Spain, Greece, and
Rivaldo.
Uzbekistan. Well done, by the way.
Because Rivaldo signed for the team in Uzbekistan instead of coming to us.
Angola, but how the fuck do you go from Italy to Angola then to Spain? So he's obviously went from Italy to Angola then to Barcelona. That's mental.
Fuck knows.
That is fucking so 4 each. 4 each. So we'll go back to EPL questions. Oh no! Oh wait! What the fuck have I done? Right, there we go. I was kind of just scrolled all the way down. It refreshed in that.
Just here's the award content. The content award.
Totally. How many clubs competed in the inaugural EPL season?
18.
No.
Ooh. 24.
No, 22. 22.
Bastards.
Right there. In which World Cup did Maradona score the hand of God?
86.
86, right?
Well done, Anthony. Well done. We'll move on. We'll no day Stephen. And here's going on all night. Here's going on all night.
I feel like I was a winner and a loser in that, in that quiz.
Aye.
They'll play this down at the Spurs Stadium that night.
Aye. This is why they didn't win.
Can you ever get unnominated for something?
Well, that's what she's got to say. Well, maybe she's got to get nominated for this kind of nonsense. But no, we'll just kind of, Anthony, we'll move on to the weekend's game and stuff. Away to Dingwall. Is it 12:30 game, a lunchtime kickoff? I think it's 12 o'clock.
I just seen it saying it said 12 o'clock, but I don't know if that meant that's when the coverage starts or not. I know it's sometime around midday.
An away fixture, obviously, maybe in an ideal world, you want a home tie just after Tuesday, but we can't on one hand sit and wax lyrical about how we've been domestically and beg for a home tie, I feel like. But how's you going into that game? Surely we've got to go in with confidence anyway.
I mean, as much as it sounds crazy, after the result on Tuesday, go with the same tactics again, because we didn't have to worry about, the Dortmund, front three. You want to start with that bit of intensity, like you say, mate. It's I said that at the start. It's about how you react to these setbacks, and Dingwall. It's never a place I particularly enjoy watching us play. It's a small stadium type park, but by the same token, we got to go out there and kind of stamp our authority and look to bounce back in the right manner. Obviously, there's going to be some forced changes with Greg Taylor. He's not going to make it, so Vai's going to come in there. It's a chance for him to impress. Carter Vickers is still out, so obviously Trusty's going to still be in there with Scales. I didn't hear what he said about if Alistair Johnson was going to be able to make it or not, but the fact that it's not came up as a announcement, I'm assuming he'll probably be fit. So it's still a relatively settled defence, and we just got to go out and just don't let some of the kind of bad habits they sat or the bad feelings for Tuesday night fester. Let's just go for it and hopefully get back to normal, shall we say, and hopefully get the 3 points that puts us put us 8 clear and puts a wee bit of pressure on them going up to Perth in the evening game before we've got obviously the 2-week break with the internationals. It'd be a good way, and then everyone can just take a breather and take stock, and then we go into the into the winter period where there's going to be just games are going to be coming at us thick and fast. But good to we ended before the last international break on a brilliant high, beating our rivals, and a similar performance to that on Sunday would be just the ticket.
I just checked that they're actually at home, Anthony, so I didn't think there's much chance. I thought they were away for him as well.
Oh, so I thought they were away. Oh, there you go.
It's fucking nuts. It's 8. I know it's 8 o'clock at night on the Sunday night. That's mental. Is
I
that Premier Sports again or something?
I think it is on Premier, but I think there's something on in the town as well on Sunday. I don't know if it's some run or something.
The Glasgow Half Marathon. I should know because I'm taking my sister through it.
I think it's some day with that as well. So
the Glasgow Half Marathon's actually on in the morning, so it probably is to do with that, James. By how are you going into Sunday? I know obviously that we'll not go into the lineup. We will come to that after this wee segment, but would you maybe stick with the same team or what? Or injuries aside, but where is your head at with Ross County coming up?
Pretty much the same as Tony was saying there as well. I think it will be a hard game, as typically a pretty hard place to go. But hopefully we can bounce back. I would have been interested to see specifically with Greg Taylor if he was fit, if he would have played on, or if we would have maybe seen Vi get in the road, because I think there is a kind of thought process as well. Maybe go with the same 11 and give him a chance to redeem it. But no, I must admit though, the back four kind of does give me make me a wee bit uneasy, because I think the wee guy for County is on a wee bit of form. Is it Hale or something? He scored a few goals. I must admit, and I'm not judging him because he's been flung in at the deep end, but for what I've seen of Trusty, I'm not really convinced, but hopefully he can kick on and put in a good performance on Sunday as well, and kind of maybe kickstart his career here. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see how we respond, and hopefully it's positive and it's relatively comfortable as it was last week.
Nah, totally. And I've got full confidence that the team will go back. I understand your argument, James. I'm kind of that mindset. Maybe don't give me too many changes. Just go with the sort of the same team and prove themselves at the end of the day. Just show that it was. I show them it was a one-off. Obviously, the level of competition is different, but we'll come to yourself, Anthony. What would be your lineup, or what do you think the lineup's got to be in Sunday?
Yeah, I think just as I said, because of the changes that are going to be required, mate, I think you're going to have we'll say Johnston, they'll be right back, but until I hear any different, but obviously goals, Trusty and Scales, your two centre halves, Taylor at left back, Johnson right back. I don't know if the fact that he brought him on, he might start with Rio, McGregor and Engels, and I think it will still be the same front three. Certainly to start with, at least, unless there's been any niggles, but it would be Kuhn on the right, Maeda on the left, and Kyle go through the middle. I think that'll be the team that starts, like you say, maybe a chance for a few guys to redeem themselves. But we'll just need to wait and see. But fingers crossed for, like you say, a good response to what was a bit of a humbling week, and it'll just take a few goals, and the 3 points would just be the ticket.
What's your scoreline then? Because it would be good.
Go 3-0.
Would be good, like you touched on. It'd be good to go into the international break again. It should put pressure on them at night, and then who knows? I doubt they will slip up, James, but it would be good to put pressure on them. But
Right.
how do you see us lining up on Sunday in your score prediction?
The same as Tony said there, I'm the same 11. I think the Bernardo one will be interesting because, if we're being honest, you could have probably hooked any of the three in the middle at half time. I think Bernardo was probably the easy target. But then when Hatate came on, it was probably one of our better players. Like he's coming on at 5-1 down, but maybe he deserves a start then to get back in the side. Same forward line, Kyogo should be fit and firing after getting a rest on Tuesday night, so hopefully he's back amongst the goals. But I pulled a 6-0 out last week and I got that spot on, so I've got a lot to live up to this week. So I'll go 3-0, but I'll say that Trusty's going to score.
I think I'll go for a 4-0, and my team would be very much the same. Obviously, Vai in at left back because of Taylor, but I think Rio might come in, as much as I would advocate for keeping the team as the same as possible as the Tuesday night, just to kind of show going into the national break. Look, just show them it was show the fans that you're still a good team, which obviously we know we are, and things like that. But I would stick majority the same team. But I think Rio will come in. Obviously, Vai's naturally got to come in for Taylor, and like you touched on, Anthony, there has been stories of Anthony Johnson, but nothing been confirmed yet. But as for the podcast, that's it kind of finished. It's no dragged on to like the 3 hours because Gavin's no hosting, and it stayed under 2 hours because the quiz isn't up to 100 as well, thankfully.
45-minute quick fire round.
But have you enjoyed this one tonight, lads?
Oh, brilliant, mate. I mean, obviously it's a bit of some sore topics that we had to get through, but as I say, it's been a bit like therapy. Feeling a bit better after it now, all set for the weekend.
What about yourself, James? You getting limbered up and going out and that run them all on Sunday at Glasgow?
No, mate, I'll be playing FIFA 98 in here, but no, I've hated it tonight. You've made me relive Tuesday again, so thumbs down for me, mate. Thumbs down.
well, that's what it's all about. It's all about disagreements. It's all about disagreements. But at least somebody enjoyed it, so that's maybe one more vote to this content award that we'll probably get uninvited for. But
I think that's at 7. I think that's us up at 7 now.
Aye, and there's 10 of us.
I know, but no. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for your comments and stuff. But we'll be back on Monday. I'm sure we'll rustle up some boys. Hopefully, things are getting a wee bit more back to normal and stuff, so that we can get a full quality of bodies. But
I think I should be good for the usual Monday. Yep.
Let's look forward to a nice weekend, finish on a high, going into the international break, and still top of league. That's the main thing. Hail, hail.